Getting laid off always sucks, and it's never the right time, and it's never fair. But if you need to bounce back quickly, then this video is for you. We'll cover what you can do right now in different areas to make sure you are recovering quickly and you land a job that's actually a career step forward for you instead of just stagnating. Welcome, my name is Sonia, and this is Red Thread, where we talk about all things work and how to make it suck less. I've been in organizational development for the last 15 years, and I can probably share with you some things that HR might not always share with you within your organization because they can't. So today we're going to talk about layoffs, which is one of the most brutal processes that there are. They're cruel, they're unfair, they're non-transparent, and everybody is in shock. You wouldn't be normal if you wouldn't feel a complete loss of control, a loss of confidence, and a huge degree of anxiety and uncertainty about what's to come next. So I'm going to give you some tips on what you can do in order to get your anxiety under control and make sure you make it through this period as smoothly as possible. The average layoff conversation lasts for about 7 minutes, which is really short, and you probably don't remember a whole lot about that conversation. You just know you are no longer needed in your team and you no longer belong, and tomorrow is a completely different day. So I'm going to fill in some things that you might not have done yet, or HR might not have told you about. Number one, the most important thing that you should be addressing immediately is figuring out your financial runway. You need to know how long your job search can take before you run out of money. Your brain and your anxiety is in hyperdrive, in survival mode, and it's desperately trying to figure out whether you're gonna have tomorrow safety and security. So you need to sit down and just grab your budget and come up with an emergency budget. That's not an easy thing. A lot of people have a hard time facing the consequences of a layoff and decide to first take a few weeks off before they tackle the job search. It's basically a freeze response where you're just trying to get your bearings again and find balance, but it's just delaying the inevitable. The earlier you can face your new reality, the faster you will get out of it. So sit down with your current budget and make an emergency budget. Look at all your expenses and see what you can pause, what you can cancel, what you can delay. There are a lot of ways how you can drastically cut your expenses right now. Life is no longer normal. You should not treat it as if it's normal. So you have to take action on your finances. If you're a particularly anxious person, I would recommend you take it a step further. You calculate first your financial runway with an emergency budget, and then you make a plan C. What is it if you do indeed run out of money? The average job search will take 4 to 6 months. And right now, 1.5 million people have been laid off just since the beginning of the year. This will impact your job search. So 4 to 6 months is a reasonable time to think about job search. Just think about the application process. From the time you submit a resume to interviews, often 3 or 4 rounds, then offer stage, then consideration, and then still 2 weeks until you can start a new job. That alone takes 2 months on a good day. So consider the average time 4 to 6 months, and don't hope for a miracle, but work towards a favorable outcome where you're landing faster. So for your anxiety and your peace of mind, consider a plan C, which is you come to the end of your runway and you need to have another plan in place. So one lever that you have is reducing expenses. The other lever is to increase your income. So think about what are some side gigs, side hustles, additional ways of making money. You won't be able to replace your full salary, but you can make sure that you have enough income to cover the basics. So once you know how much money you have and how long it will last and what your plan C is for raising additional capital, the next step is to really look at your severance paperwork. Most likely you got a stack of legalese papers, and it's really hard to read all of that, but you have to. You need to know what you're getting. Most companies will pay a little bit of salary. Depending on your tenure, that will be longer. Depending on your level, it will be less or more. And in addition, most companies will provide some kind of outplacement service. Some companies offer additional perks like continued healthcare coverage, so you have to know what the dates are. You have to know when you have to sign the paperwork and return it, and you have to know what the consequences are for signing it. I'm saying this because sometimes it's worth it to consider not signing it. This might not be a popular opinion, but when you sign it, you sign away all rights for anything against the company. But if you sign the severance agreement, and that's the condition to actually get the benefits, otherwise you get absolutely nothing. But if you do not sign it, you retain your right to take legal action against the company in the future. One reason might be because you find out that you were wrongfully terminated as part of the layoff. There's maybe discrimination going on. Maybe you were put on the list of terminations unjustly. So if you want to preserve your right to sue, you cannot sign the severance agreement. Another instance that I've come across is class action lawsuits. That might be years down the line, and it's not as infrequent as you might think. Just Google it. 401k, for instance. Companies have very often class action lawsuits against them for 401k mismanagement, fee mismanagement, and you're entitled to participate in those class action lawsuits only if you did not ever sign a severance agreement. So if you don't get a lot in your benefits, a few weeks of salary and COBRA that you can't afford, then maybe you want to consider not signing your severance agreement and keeping your freedom of speech and the right to speak out. I'm not a lawyer, so the disclaimer here, if you have any concerns or if you have any questions, you should be contacting a labor lawyer. So you have your financial runway now, you have an emergency plan, and you know what you're getting, and you decided whether to sign or not to sign. The next step is to figure out your benefits. Lots of people decide to save on the wrong thing, which is healthcare. You know that usually bad things happen in clusters of 3. I'm not superstitious. I see it a lot, so please don't do that. Get healthcare coverage, whether this is COBRA through the company, which will be costing you most likely twice as much as what you previously paid, or get a catastrophic healthcare coverage plan through healthcare.gov. But get something so you're not completely wiped out if something happens to you or any of your family members. Number 4, you need to have a new schedule. You have a new job. You're thinking you're unemployed, you're not unemployed. Your new job is called job search. And the job market has changed a lot. It's rapidly evolving with new application rules and communication rules. You need to know this is a full-time job, so treat it like a job. Look at your calendar and make a new time blocking system where you dedicate specific blocks of time each day to the distinct 3 different areas of job search: applications, networking, and interview skills. You need to be really good at all 3. And most likely you're a little rusty or have never used them because maybe you got your last job through a recommendation or somebody hired you that was outreach. This might be the first time you actively have to look for a job. I would also recommend that you keep some boundaries, just like a job. Don't decide to do applications at 9 p.m. after all the family events have been done. You will be exhausted and tired and not in the best form to do applications. You need to do the job search during your prime hours where you have the highest energy and you're the most motivated, because it is an absolutely draining and frustrating process. So you need to always be in the best frame of mind, whether this is for an interview or for the application process, or you're going to be more likely to procrastinate and push it away because it's so uncomfortable. Keeping boundaries is important. Keep your weekends free. Again, treat it like a job where you have work-life balance. You're in it for the long haul. This will probably take 3 to 4 months at minimum until you have an offer. And so you want to devote every week time blocks to that. Some people think about, I'm going to take the summer off. I'm going to first take a few weeks off until I get adjusted. That's just wasted time. You're losing momentum, and you want to adjust as quickly as possible to that new rhythm of job search. A lot of people also are giving different kinds of answers on how you should be messaging that you got laid off. Some people prefer to not announce it on LinkedIn at all until they land. My recommendation is that you communicate it as broadly and as quickly as possible. You want to come across positive and embracing this as a new chapter, but you want to let your network know that you're looking. One way to do that is to first put out an announcement and announcing that you were part of the recent layoff and how people can support you. You have to help people with ideas of how to support you. You decide what that can look like, from forwarding their recruiter emails that might be interesting to you, to making recommendations or making introductions on LinkedIn, to just being there as a friend and listening and occasionally checking in with you. These network connections will actually lead most likely to your next job. 95% of people that land with the help of their soft connections. These are always people that they used to work with in the past and not necessarily family members or somebody immediate that they worked with recently. Get in touch with everybody you've worked with in the last 10 years, back to college, anybody, and just say, hey, I'm looking, can we have a chat? You want to have a personal connection. If you just write, if you see something, send it to me, then you're throwing spaghetti at the wall. Nobody currently employed is actively looking, has it as their job to look for a job for you. That's your job. So please don't expect your network to bring you some kind of job opportunity where you just have to say yes. That's not going to happen. So you have to work it, and the working it is getting together with people, reestablishing the connection, letting people know what exactly you're looking for and why, and making them a pitch, and then checking in and following up with that network. Another tip is that you really need to rebrand your LinkedIn profile. A lot of people neglect their LinkedIn profile while they're employed because they're thinking they don't need it. You need it. This is your brand now. You're the product. So what you're messaging on LinkedIn or any other social platform will be seen by future employers. So what is that message? Go through all your social media and check, how does what I have posted in the past represent me today? Is it still in line with my values, what I want? Is it polished? Do I have a good picture on there? Your outplacement coach can give you all these tips, and you can easily find it online as well if you Google it. But make sure your online presence is the right packaging for the job you're looking for, because that will be the first thing your hiring manager will look at once they consider your resume. Now, I get also asked if you should be posting on Glassdoor your opinion about your last company. It is anonymous, and if you think it will be helpful to somebody else to understand what your team was about, what the benefits were, what the hiring process was, by all means post there. It is anonymous, so it doesn't really help you in your search. It's also not beneficial to be vicious or mean because you're still resentful about the layoff. It doesn't help anybody. It's bad karma. Up to you. My last point is to be patient and to just show up every day. Every day do something. Expect that you need to ramp up on your skills. Expect a lot of rejection. Expect that it's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. And the more you have your finances under control and your mindset is in the right place, the more you will be there for the right opportunity. It is a gamble between strategic tactics and a little bit of luck and serendipity. So work it, and I'm sure it will work for you. The outcome will be that you get the job that's actually a career step up into the direction that you really want, instead of just taking a job because you have to. I know this time is hard. It is challenging. It will test your stamina, your discipline, your goodwill, your resilience, but you can shape it into something that's a stepping stone for you instead of a step back. Recalibrate of where you're going professionally and what is your vision for a great next company. Thank you for watching. You've got this.